Fast SUVs are nothing new, but now there are more SUVs on the market than ever before. So there's an opportunity there for there to be more fast SUVs than ever before too. This is the Audi SQ2, and it's a Q2, but now with almost 300 horsepower. If you're familiar with Audi, you'll know that the S badge is applied to some of the warm performance models in the Audi range. They're much faster and much more performance orientated than the standard petrol and diesel Audis in the range, but they are less focused, less dynamic than the full-on RS models. With that in mind, the SQ2 is the fastest Q2 you can buy, and for good reason. Underneath, it shares all of its mechanicals with the S3. And because this is a product of the wider VW group, it doesn't just share its mechanicals with the S3, but also the Golf R and the Cupra Ateca. So, it has a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged engine with 300 PS, so 296 brake horsepower and 400 newton meters of torque. That all means that this little SUV will get from 0 to 62 miles an hour in 4.8 seconds on its way to a top speed, a limited top speed, of 155 miles an hour. 4.8 seconds to 62 miles an hour in a small, family-orientated SUV. Considering Ferrari's mid-engine V8 Berlinettas used to get to 62 miles an hour in under 4 seconds just over a decade ago, and you've got the same level of performance in this, that's madness. Move away from the performance and its familiar Q2. You won't find it as spacious as a Q3, a Q5, and certainly not a Q7, but it feels compact behind the wheel. You drive it along and you're not worried that you're going to smash a wheel onto a tall curb or someone else is going to take your wing mirror off. And inside, it's quiet at speed, and it's a nice cabin, it's a nice place to be. Granted, I'm not too sure that the satellite navigation system is the most intuitive system out there, and a few of the touches in the cabin that really make it feel special and premium, like these red and black leather seats with their diamond stitch pattern, those are optional extras, as are the digital dials, part of Audi's virtual cockpit. They're optional as well, which means that in total, while the SQ2 starts at £37,000 roughly, this particular car is about £46,000. But it's a nice place to be, and rejoice, there are physical buttons to adjust things like the volume and the heater. That's a really nice touch, and it sounds really quite basic, but far too many cars have lots of hidden menus where you can access those kind of things. So for there to be physical buttons that you can access without taking your eyes off the road is a real positive. On the move, it's a very pleasant driving experience. The steering is quite light, but you can change that with the drive select button on the dashboard. So you've got several different modes. You've got efficiency, comfort, auto, dynamic, and individual. And it doesn't just change the weight of the steering, but it changes the throttle response, the gearbox response, and the sound of the engine as well. The ride is surprisingly comfortable too. I was worried that the S badge would bring with it discomfort and loose teeth, but thankfully it hasn't. It's got a real suppleness to it that I just wasn't expecting. It's not soft though, don't mistake suppleness for being too soft. When you want to drive it a little bit quicker, and you will because that's why you bought an SQ2 rather than a standard Q2, it's very well controlled and it doesn't roll around all over the place. It's firm enough but still comfortable. And because of that four-wheel drive system, it's as secure a driving experience as you would expect from an Audi. Whether it's dry as it is now or it's wet, you put your foot down and you've always got that performance, you've always got plenty of grip. It just makes you feel secure and safe, like you can never run into too much trouble. Make no bones about it, this is a very, very quick little car. It might not make the most inspiring noise around, but because of that double clutch gearbox, you just shoot down the road. It pulls from just over 2,000 RPM up to about 6,000 RPM, and the red line is just under 7,000 RPM. But keep it in that range and it just feels remarkably relentless. Drawbacks? Well, as I said, that engine noise isn't the most inspiring. You can do something about that, as I said, with the drive select button. So if I put it in dynamic and now accelerate, you should be able to hear quite a difference. The only trouble is, as nice as that is to have a bit of extra noise, a bit more theatre, should you get excited by fake noise? I'll let you be the judge of that. And even though this gearbox is very good, it's very quick and it's really very smooth, it doesn't always do what you want it to. Sometimes you'll ask it to go up or down a gear and it won't do it. And also, and this has caught me out a few times, if you're accelerating up from first, second, third, sometimes you'll pull a paddle yourself and the car will think, oh, I know, you're near the red line, I need to change gear for you. So as you pull the paddle, you're changing gear and it will think, I need to change gear. So you'll end up going 2 gears. You'll perhaps go from second to fourth. That's not ideal when you just want to accelerate as quickly as possible. The big question though is whether or not this car is worth it at all. Should Audi have made an SQ2? I'm in two minds about it. On the one hand, you have a really good, really effective, very quick performance SUV. I love performance cars, so to have an extra performance car out there, yeah, that's good. On the other hand, why would you buy one? What's wrong with an S3 or a Golf R? Because they're a similar size, they've just got slightly lower ride heights, which means actually they drive a bit better. I think if you want a small, fast Audi, buy the S3. But if you want a small, fast SUV with heaps of performance and the extra ride height, then you have to admit this is remarkably capable. So what would you buy? Would it be the SQ2, or would you go for the more traditional option like the S3? Or maybe you go for something completely different like the Golf R? Let us know in the comments below.